welcome to another Sci-Fi Fantasy Saturday. Now, earlier today I did a introduction to Arkham Horror, the card game. This was the original series, and talked and rambled a lot about Arkham Horror and what I liked about it. And I'll put a link to that down below. And that was really kind of a setup, a very long setup, for an unboxing of this. Winifred Habbamock, I think I pronounced that right. She's a rogue, and she's an investigator starter deck. So these are separate decks of characters that you can get to play in the Arkham Horror, the card game. And there's a whole new format of how they're doing Arkham Horror now, where I don't think they're doing these little clamshell packs and mythos packs to develop a whole story now. But back in the day, they were basically done with these different story arcs here. And she was really tied to the Forgotten Age. She's a pilot, and the Forgotten Age is more of a Indiana Jones type setup. And so she was more into that frame. But now I think you can buy, I don't know if they re-released her, but you can buy the investigators in a bigger box instead of having to get them in individual mythos packs. Every mythos packs would have a new story, and they would introduce some new characters, or they would do it as the start of the whole mythos pack or the story cycle, and that's how you got your characters to play. You got some in the starter box, and then you would get one for get some for when they would introduce a new story. And again, she was introduced as part of the Forgotten Age, but she was bought. She didn't come in the starter for that. She came in this separate pack. So let's get inside and see what we get in here. And as I said, if you're not familiar with Arkham Horror, as I said, I talk a little bit about what it's about, but I don't go into any of the gameplay or any of the specific cards. So that's what this is for. We're going to look at some of the specific cards that you get when you open up, get a pack of Winifred Habbamock. So we get a little bit about her in here. So this talks a little bit about her, probably how you do her deck build, because this is basically a deck building game, and you're kind of managing your deck over time with new skills and equipment, and they have assets and skills and weaknesses and events that you get in here. So this is how to use this expansion, and talking a little bit about upgrading her and what this expansion symbol is. She's a pilot, so there's her expansion symbol. So this talks to you a little bit about how to incorporate her into the game. And so what she's going to have is, normally there's a few basic cards that you get with a character, like they're key cards, like if they're a federal agent or something, they might start out with some of their guns or something like that. But then there's going to be some weaknesses, and then it's going to give you guidelines on how to build the deck and what cards you can use. And I think there's like 4 different colored cards you can use. She's got all green in here, but there's like green, blue, red, and purple and yellow. So maybe there's more than 3 or 4. Here's her character, and so that's what you'll represent her going around on the board. And when she's, used all her actions, she turns over to her exhausted or used side. But that's her, that's what you move around the board, because the board is basically cards. The locations and places you go are going to be a set of cards that are unique to each one of these different stories. So here's her main card, and shows what her attributes are. So there's 4 basic attributes that they have, and then they're also going to have health and sanity, and then she's going to have some special effects and how those are used during the game. Here's like her backstory, and will tell you about deck building options. So her deck size is 30, and here's the type of cards. She can rogue cards, levels 0 through 5, neutral cards, and then deck building requirements do not count towards the deck sides. Anything these cards right here are automatically put in and don't count against her, and tells a little bit about her play style. So that is the main character card, and then you're going to have these different cards. Like this is a skill, and this question mark. So I guess you can use this for just about about anything for a test. So some of these icons are usually used for test when you're trying to overcome a test. And so you have to match those up to add to the test. And this is the cost of the cards. This is an asset here. And so you can use these for the symbols, but you're also going to have some special abilities. This is a item, tool, and elicit. So it's lock picks. So she can use it for those type of skill tests, and that's her cost to put it in, to buy it and put it into her the cost to use it or to pay for it through resources. You're going to have resources, and so that's what the cost is to actually use that or play that out. Here's an asset, switchblade, lucky cigarette case. So these are all things that are kind of unique to her. But the interesting thing is that once you have these, now that you have these, you can use these with other rogue characters that can use green cards. You can, use these or build these in if it's not a unique item. She might have some unique items, like this weakness I think is probably unique to her, arrogance. And there's her plane crashing here, and reckless. So it looks like she might have a couple of weaknesses she has. But you can use these with other rogue characters, so it adds to your deck building. And so if you buy a lot of these, you're going to have several cards to choose from to augment your characters based on their skill sets and what their requirements are. So she's got some interesting things here. Nimble. She's got a lot of these question mark skills, so that means you might be able to use those for anything. I have to read up on that. It's been a while since I played this. As I said in my intro video, this doesn't get to the table as much because there's so much. This is the content I have, and there's more to this, but it takes a while to set up, and you got to figure out. And there's kind of a commitment to each one of these cycles. Once you start it, you kind of want to finish that whole story. And so there's a time commitment, and there's also kind of a setup commitment, and what do you want to leave it on the table. It doesn't take up a lot of table space, but there's a setup required of how you set up each one of these different stories. So this doesn't get to the table as much as I would like, so I haven't played this in a while. But during COVID, I really got into this, and I just doggedly would go through a story and stick with it. So here's an asset, and it's kind of an ally and criminal, and has some special abilities, and they have their own health and sanity that will, because they're actually playing on the board with you, and they can take damage or take sanity hits as well. So there you have it. That is what you get in a deck of Winifred. I don't know, and you guys can let me know if they're going to, did they re-release her? Then they're re-releasing of, I think there's like a character pack now instead of doing it with these individual mythos packs or stories or cycles. I think there's like a whole box of characters now, so I don't know if they re-released her or not, but I have the original, and she kind of went with the Forgotten Age. Anyway, that's what I have for you today. Let me know your thoughts on her, or if you know a lot about what's happening with the new kind of reboot of Arkham Horror, the card game, and how they're repackaging it. Feel free to put your comments in there. Thanks all. And don't forget the giveaway. There's a link in this description that goes to the Sci-Fi Fantasy Saturday Arkham Horror, the card game introduction video. Go to that video, put a comment, make sure you're a subscriber, and you too can have a chance to get the Pallid Mask. Thanks for watching.